Hi, friends, and welcome. It's a cool and windy day here on our bend in the river, and we have a personally special story just for you. You see, not too long ago, our youngest daughter, Erin, came home for a visit with her daughter, our granddaughter, Anna. Her husband is overseas. He's being deployed in the Air Force, and he's going to be gone for a little bit, so she came up here to visit, spend the holidays with us. And I seized upon the opportunity while she was here to schedule a deer hunt. She and I haven't had the chance to share a deer blind in a long time, and our friend Ryan Hopkins over at Hopkins Trophy Whitetails graciously offered to let me bring her over. Well, on the appointed weekend, the one weekend in my schedule I had available, as fate would have it, her daughter Anna caught a bug, and it landed her in the hospital for a better part of the day. Now, she's okay now, but that bug, that illness, meant that Erin couldn't go out on the only weekend we had to hunt. So she very graciously said, "Dad, why don't you call up one of my sisters, ring up the E-Girl bullpen, and see if one of them would like to take my place?" So Erica, E-Girl number 2, very graciously offered to step in, and she and I are going to go out and in just a couple of days try to do a deer hunt together. Hey, I'm your host, Kyle Randall. This is my Wilderness Journal. And our team may have 2 strikes, but we're not out of it, not by a long shot. Erin and Annabelle stopped by my office on their way home. What they say at the hospital? She gonna be okay?
Yep, she's gonna be okay.
Okay.
We're gonna have to call in for a relief hunter.
I'm sure I can find a reliever. We'll call up another one of the E-Girls, one of your sisters, to step in and pinch hunt for you.
Okay.
With Anna's stamp of approval, we did go to the bullpen, like I said, call in another ace, and Erica and I headed to the deer woods. We knew we only had a couple of days to get it done, but I knew Erica was going to bring her A game because, quite frankly, the E-Girls always do. And about 4:30 that first evening, we started seeing deer.
Here comes deer.
A doe and a couple of fawns were working their way up across the oak flat, headed more or less in our direction. They didn't seem to have any bucks with them, but this close to the rut, you never know. We watched as the does worked their way, picking along at the last of the acorns, right up until it got dark, in fact. But we never did see a buck, not that first night. That next afternoon, we were watching the edge of a food plot, and there were deer starting to move about 4:30, 5 o'clock. What looked like a bachelor group of younger, 1.5 year, maybe 2-year-old bucks were staging right at the edge of the field, just looking out there a little leery to walk out in the open. Finally satisfied that it was safe, single file they started out into the field. These weren't shooters, but someday they would be, and their activity this early in the day left some hope that some older deer, some more mature bucks, might be on the move before it got too dark. Not long after those small bucks came out, we watched a line of does working their way out into the field. As darkness approached, more and more deer gathered out there in the food plot. We watched as the does and young bucks worked their way around feeding. Plenty of entertainment, but we still hadn't seen a mature buck, at least not yet. With at least 10 deer out in the field now, there was some hope that sooner or later a big boy was going to show up.
Not quite big enough.
Those are the junior models.
It's the starter pack.
We want to shop in the adult section.
Just after Erica informed me she was waiting for something a bit older, something spooked the deer, they all turned and ran off the field. And even though I was certain we hadn't spooked them, I questioned Erica anyway, just because.
What did you do?
I think you scared him.
Oh, blame the camera guy. Sure.
They saw something they didn't like.
Yeah, there's a coyote or something. I don't know what was over there, but they didn't like whatever it was.
And not long after the deer all left, a whole bunch of turkeys came running into that same field.
Couple, 3, 4 long bears. Kyle doesn't have a turkey tag anymore. What a shame.
They just come running.
Yeah. Oh,
Bye, turkeys.
see you at Thanksgiving. I always see turkeys at Thanksgiving.
They do seem to be around then.
Nope, not a turkey hunt. We were seeing deer, though. Unfortunately, they weren't the right deer. We hadn't seen any of the older, more mature bucks, and I reasoned they were probably staying deeper in the property, staging for the rut. I told Erica if we're going to get this done with only 1 day left to hunt, we're going to have to make a move and then hope we get just a little bit lucky. The next day, our last, we moved to a blind that was a lot deeper in the property, and by mid-afternoon, we were already seeing deer. Several does and fawns were working their way out into this food plot.
The food plot, I see him. Yeah, don't be flashing that black around if you can help it, because they will see that with the sun shining right on it.
I'm trying to get my thing out so I don't have to move it.
Yeah, it's a good idea. He's watching them toes walk in.
Erica was just whispering that she could see another doe working her way down through the far end of the field when we looked over, and there was a buck pushing a doe right down by the swamp.
Way out there with that deer.
And more importantly, this was a shooter. This was a dandy, big, old 8-point, the exact kind of deer we were looking for.
Did. We're gonna look at him again when he gets out here a little farther. But we're not
Erica and I quickly whispered a plan, but the truth was we needed some help. We needed that doe to lead this buck out to where Erica could get a better look at him.
come back here.
Unfortunately, they both went in the other direction.
Oh yeah.
A half hour later, we were watching a doe and fawn bedded off the edge of the field when we realized we weren't the only ones watching them. This young guy was acting like a big boy, but he seemed reluctant to walk over to him. And then the reason for his reluctance came walking out from the other side of the food plot. These two youngsters stood there staring at each other across the field like two boys in a gymnasium trying to get the same girl's attention. Neither of them was a shooter, not yet, so we sat watching, hoping their antics might attract an even older, more mature deer. But when another doe and fawn entered the field and split up, each of the bucks turned and followed off after one of them. They never did fight, they never pulled in another buck, they just wandered off out of the edge of the field. That big 8-point was exactly the kind of mature deer we were looking for. Now we needed to see him or another buck like him out in the open, at least long enough for Erica to get lined out and hopefully get a shot. And not 10 minutes after those little guys left, what appeared to be a dandy buck was working his way down through the trees headed in our direction.
Definitely a bigger deer.
This looked to be at least a 3-year-old, a nice, heavy, wide buck.
See him?
Yeah, he's right near those.
This was the kind of deer we'd been waiting to see.
Right, Dad, there's a deer right here.
Yep, that's another 8-point. Just sit still. That's that big old black belly.
The buck kept coming closer and closer down through the trees, and then he started angling off to his right. And then, just when I was sure he was leaving, he turned around.
Right at him, too.
He took a couple steps closer, and then a noise. That huge 8-point came blowing out right past us. He grunted once and went charging across the food plot, took us totally by surprise. And by the time we got our composure, he was already out in the trees, challenging another buck and running him off. I tried a couple of grunts to bring him back, but he was just gone.
That's a nice buck.
Hopefully he'll show back up.
Well, we sat there patiently watching the sun go down and the deer get up and start working out into the field again. But still, no big buck.
Right, say there comes a little buck.
There were does and fawns moving in from most directions. A couple of small bucks were keeping track of them, but that big boy, that big 8-point, hadn't been seen or heard from, and neither had any other mature buck for that matter.
That's what they do when a buck's following them.
We sat there quietly watching and wondering what this old doe might be watching. We could see over through the woods. It was fairly open, but we didn't see any other deer. She was still staring, though, and that usually means they've seen something. One of the best ways to find a deer is to let another deer bird dog or point it out for you, and this old gal was laser locked on something. And then we saw it. There was another buck. It didn't look like a big buck, but another buck was working his way in through the timber.
Well, that big one was halfway there, and then he took off running like a buck.
There were definitely deer moving, but the truth was, we were running out of time. More and more deer were starting to move, and we actually saw several young bucks checking out the does out in the food plot. They were cruising, but we still needed to see that older buck. We needed to get this done. There was just like an hour, maybe an hour and a half left. If we were going to finish this hunt before I had to hit the road again, it's like I said earlier, we needed to catch a break.
There comes a doe coming in. See her to the left.
No, yeah.
And then, with just minutes of shooting light left, we did.
Coming right now.
Look back. There's a deer following her. See it? It's coming through the trees.
Yeah, I can't tell what it is, though.
Oh no, that's our boy right there.
Us. Well, hello, big boy.
That great big 8-point we'd seen earlier was following that doe, and he'd stopped to work a scrape just off the field edge.
Up in the tree right now.
Yeah, I'm looking at him here. Just ease your rifle up and get your safety out. That's him. Right there. He's standing there working a scrape. That's definitely a shooter if you want him. So take your time. Do you have a clear shot at him yet?
I gotta find him first. I lost him when I went to look.
He's probably right behind that big tree. Well, just relax.
And now we were in the moment. The deer was there, wasn't open, no shot, but he was there. Erica was ready. She had her rifle up. The minutes were ticking by. It was getting darker and darker. This is exactly the kind of tension, the excitement and adrenaline that every deer hunter hopes they'll experience. And every time the buck stops, it just ratchets it up a little bit more.
He's walking out nice and slow.
Erica was ready to go, and then just as he got broadside, he spun and started walking back in, back quartering toward us. I wanted Erica to wait for a decent broadside shot. I had no doubt of her shooting abilities, but you want to do everything you can to put everything in your favor. And yes, all the while the tension and the excitement was building in that blind. It was getting so thick I could chew it.
Wait for this. Bah, bah. Okay. Nailed it.
Well, I didn't want to walk too far.
Yeah. Well, you didn't go to. How far did he travel? About 30 inches straight down?
About a couple feet straight to the ground, you know.
Beautiful. Congratulations. Mwah.
Thank
Proud of
you.
You e-girls are absolutely deadly.
I think it might be genetic.
Yeah. I don't know what it is, but for a pinch hunter, stepping in for your sister like that.
Well,
Yeah.
she asked me
Wow.
to jump on in, so I jumped.
Yeah, no, didn't have to ask you twice.
No. I came a running, so that's just magnificent.
I tell you what, we watched that big boy chasing that doe around, and I didn't think he was going to come back.
I didn't think he was going to head back either, and I didn't think he was going to stop as much as he was chasing them around, so I'm just thankful he took a little bit of pause and...
Excuse me, sir. Do you have the time? Beautiful.
Wonderful.
Erica, Lilly, another in a long line of deer killers.
I'm just trying to do my part.
Yeah, well, you're getting her done. Boo. No? Like I always say, girl, you ain't just taking a nap. Always.
Man,
Go
this
ahead.
is going in the truck.
That's it. Throw that bolt open. There you go. Just leave it open, hon. That's the best way. All right. Pick that head up. We're going to get turned around here so we can see you a little better. Well, Erica Lilly, formerly the Erica Randall, but another one of the E-girls, the middle E, you. I don't know how you feel right now, but I have to tell you, as a dad, as a grandpa, as somebody that does this, not just because they love it, but because this is how we make our living, I have to tell you, you make me proud. You know, I almost got a little misty there.
Well, I appreciate it. As we get a little bit older and we have our own families, we don't get to spend as much time out in the field with you as we'd like, and it feels good to kind of blow those cobwebs off. I send out the husband and the kids, and you know, they love to go, so it's nice to be able to have a chance and get back out here with you, like back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing.
Well, and I will tell you, we'll take this and put it all together, and we'll make a little instructional video for the kids. Caitlin is going to be steam rolling out of her ears. I know she's dying to get out again. And
It'll go a long way to showing my kids that, you know, they're amazing, but they certainly weren't the first.
yeah, they got it from somewhere.
I think it might be a family thing.
Well, your patience was tremendous. We saw this buck 3 or 4 times chasing does. He's not got the most points. He's 8 or got a little start of a 9 there, but he's got to be a 4-year-old. He's over 200 pounds.
You know what? I know he's gonna eat really nice.
He's gonna. So I tell everybody, this is going to be the best back end of a pickup truck you ever saw.
They eat the same, and I'm just thrilled. And
Well,
thank you again for letting me come in and sneak in, and I'm glad I was able to make it out here, and I'm calling that a good day.
Yeah, you know, a couple of days we've been at this. We couldn't get on one right away, and we come back, and we certainly want to thank Ryan and all the Hopkins for the great opportunity. And you know, I know Erin would have loved to have been here, but when the baby got a little sick there, she knew she had to stick it out. So, hey, you go to the bullpen. You call in. When you got e-girls, you just call in the next, you know,
The next one in line, you just pull them up, and you know, we've all got family. We all know how that is, and it's nice that we can jump on in and, hey, this one's for you, Erin.
There you are. Well, I'm sure there'll be a meal or two go everybody's way, but I want to tell you, girl, you done good.
Thanks, Dad.
Congratulations, Erica Lilly. What an awesome shot on a great buck. You did such a great job keeping your cool and being there when the moment was right. Friends, just like your family, my family is a constant source of pride, knowing that whichever e-girl I take to the woods when the opportunity presents itself, she's going to be there. Butt in the seat, finger on the trigger, ready to take advantage of it. Trust me, there's nothing like having that confidence when you go out there, and really it's a pleasure. And I truly want to thank, on behalf of Erica, certainly Erin and little Annabelle, as well as myself, our friend Ryan, for the great opportunity and the great hunt. We truly appreciate it. Hey, I hope you take some of your young people out there. I've told you over and over, take your kids, take the grandkids, go out and hunt and teach them to love and know what we love and know. You'll be raising your own best hunting buddy, and when the time comes, you'll feel the joy that we feel every chance we get to go hunting with ours. And you gotta know, I hope to see you out there. I hope you're getting a deer of your own. I hope you're sharing the time that we get to share with ours, and maybe even more. And if we do see you out there, well, you know we're gonna stop and share that cup and a fire. And if we don't get the chance to see you out in the woods, stop by our expo up in Cadillac, Michigan. You can see Erica, see her deer, ask her how she felt about the hunt. You can see the whole Wilderness Journal family. We're all going to be there, all of the businesses, all of the outfitters we work with, and we're all going to be there to visit with you. Hey, I hope we see you up there too. And if I don't for some reason, well, friends, you know I'm going to wait to see you right back here so we can share another adventure from my Wilderness Journal.